True story. A friend of mine recently decided to take a solo trip. This particular person is the biggest introvert that you will ever encounter in your life. He absolutely hates meeting new people. He does not like stepping out of his home. And this guy comes to me and tells me that taking the decision to go on a solo trip was one of the biggest decisions of his life. And this decision proved to be one of the best decisions of his life, which changed his life forever. Hi guys, Himanshu this side, and welcome back to my channel. As I've been sharing my experiences, my journey, and some information around the topics of developing your personality, I really wanted to touch upon the topic of travel. Yes, I know that travel is very cliched, and if you do not like traveling, you will probably come up with 1,000 excuses about why this particular video is not for you. But just hear me out, allow me to change your mind, and then maybe you can take a call for yourself. In this particular video, I'm going to be talking specifically about solo traveling and why you should at least do one solo trip in your lifetime. But before we even get into the details of it, let's just define what solo traveling exactly is. So, is solo traveling just traveling alone? Well, not exactly, because you might travel for study, you might travel alone for your work, you might travel alone just because you have to attend some conference. That does not count as solo travel. For me, solo travel not just means traveling by yourself, but it also means that you plan your travel. You decide where you will go, you decide where you will stay, you decide what you will do, and you decide what your itinerary is going to look like instead of depending on a pre-planned itinerary that has been provided to you by your workmates or by your parents or by your friends. That basically means you do the research, you do the planning, you execute that plan. Solo traveling is the complete experience. Now, why to take gyan from me, or what makes me qualified enough to even speak on this topic? Well, for one, I've traveled to more than 15 countries by myself, solo travel, as well as I've traveled extensively within India. So, yep, I can tell you for sure that solo trips change your perspective towards life altogether. Life, as you know, is so much larger. The world, as you know, is so much larger than you can even imagine. All you need to do is just to step out of your comfort zone and just to step out of your bubble. When you actually get into the planning of a solo trip, you're not relying on your friends or your family to make plans for you. You are not relying on them to make decisions for you. You are in charge. You take full control of every single thing. From planning your day to figuring out where you are going to eat to figuring out where you are going to sleep, it's all on you. This is your decision, and making this decision is really empowering. Also, there is absolutely nothing like witnessing the world absolutely raw. You get to meet people who are neither your family, nor your friends, not even your colleagues. They don't eat the same food as you do. They don't even speak the same language as you do. And you realize that each individual has his or her own unique life. This experience really humbles you to appreciate how big and how diverse the world is. Cultural exposure is easily one of the biggest takeaways from a solo travel. I mean, every single place with its own unique set of people, its architecture, its landscape, its food, its language is a complete experience in itself. You get to interact with new people, maybe try out their language, learn a couple of words, try out their new food, try to assimilate a little bit into their culture, learn about why they are that the way they are. It's a really nice overall experience which really, forces you to think beyond the confines of your mind. Besides, when you are actually traveling solo, places look way cooler than they actually are. If you're out with their friends and you just are enjoying any particular building or any particular landscape, you probably might, get involved in a random banter with your friends and maybe not appreciate the beauty of it. In a solo travel, you have your eyes set on the magnificence of that particular structure or landscape, and that's just absolutely amazing. Also, it is very thrilling to be out there on your own without anyone watching your back. There is no one to share your bills with, and there is no one to share your responsibilities with. Moreover, there is absolutely no one who's going to click your pictures. It's just going to be you and the big wide world in front of you. I was actually quite introverted myself before I started, doing my solo trips and all. So much so that I even used to dread the idea of traveling in a public transport. Yeah, that's how weird I was. But today, I can actually approach people in a respectable way, and because of this, I've actually ended up making a lot of friends on the way. One of the best things that actually come with solo travel is your own personal growth. You learn to trust yourself, you became more decisive, and you absolutely become more self-sufficient. Now, I completely do understand that the idea of solo travel can be intimidating, especially for beginners, because you think, oh, I'm going to be alone all the time. But that's the beauty of it. It is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be something which basically exists before you even plan it. You absolutely do not have to be alone all the time. You can stay in hostels where there are people who interact with each other all the time. You can join group tours where you will learn about that particular place in a setting where there are more people that you can interact with and have discussions with. At the same time, you can actually enjoy local meetups as well. There are a lot of meetups which keep happening all over the cities. If you are a tourist over there, you just need to search the internet for those meetups. Go out, join an activity that you really like doing, be it, brewing some coffee, doing some painting, or maybe even a fun sport like, paintball. All these are really great ways to interact with like-minded people without having the condition of spending time with someone 24/7. Most importantly, solo travel actually gives you a chance to become comfortable with your own solitude. You enjoy your own company, and that is a superpower. I'm actually looking at you, my fellow introverts. Still not convinced? Well, okay, think about this. Let's assume that you are out, hanging out with your friends, hanging out with your colleagues, or maybe you're out on a date. When they casually bring up the topic of travel and how they do not feel confident in traveling, you can not only inspire them to actually go and take that trip, but at the same time, you can, if you've been to that place, give recommendations about what to do and what not to do. How cool is that? They are going to be super impressed. Now at this point, I would really like to say that very soon I will be putting out more content around my trips, because I'm actually planning on going on a solo trip once again. If you are following this channel, then you will absolutely see that. Also on my Instagram page, there is a lot of reels, there are a lot of stories which I keep posting so that you can keep up to date about what I've been doing, what I've been enjoying. For me personally, I really enjoy the idea of having adventurous solo trips. So yeah, that's something that you can look forward to. It's going to be a lot of fun content. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please consider doing that, because you are going to miss out a lot of content otherwise. And this content is going to be super informative that you can actually also use while planning your next trip. Also give this video a thumbs up if you like it so far. Now coming back to the topic of solo travel, of course you are at my channel, so I obviously want you to be better than other travelers out there, right? So what do? I'll give you a list of some items which you can do and some of the items which you cannot do, which will eventually make you a respectable traveler. Wherever you will go, you will find a lot of people respecting you, and you will also feel a lot safer. So tip number 1 is research your destination. If you are planning a solo trip, of course, put in a lot of time about researching your destination. You can scour the internet, you can check out forums on, some travel blogs. Figure out what are the problem areas of that particular city. Also figure out what are the common scams that people do in that particular city. Stay away from those areas, because you're out there by yourself. There is no one watching your back, so I really want you guys to be safe. Point number 2 is absolutely just avoid eating unhygienic food. I mean, come on, there is nothing worse than having stomach upset on the first day of your travel because you ended up having some very weird smelling and tasting street food. It's not a pleasant experience that you are spending the next 2 days in your bed just trying to recover from it. It's better to always consume hygienic food. Even if it's street food, just make sure that the conditions are very, very hygienic. The third point is something which is actually very, very close to my heart, which is basically wherever you go, just respect their culture. Be respectful toward their traditions and beliefs. You are going to a new location as a guest, as a tourist. You are not entitled to anything. You have to act in a way which makes them feel comfortable, and it's not vice versa. Do not try to impose your thoughts, your beliefs on those people. The next point, it's very unfortunate that I have to still say this, but please guys, do not litter. You're going to a new place, absolutely do not litter. Whatever waste that you generate, please carry that waste with you and discard that waste in the designated spots. The rule of thumb which I follow, and this has actually helped me a lot, and it has actually made a lot of people appreciate me, is that whenever I'm going to any new place, I just make sure that whatever place I visit, it is cleaner after I end up visiting that particular place. than it was before. Next is sort of a suggestion more than a tip. That tip or suggestion is basically to stay in a hostel. See, when you are new in the city, it sometimes becomes very weird that you are there by yourself. You're not interacting with people from other cultures, from other regions. Staying in a hostel makes it very, very easy to interact with new people. There are so many fun activities that hostels usually, organize on a daily basis. You get to interact socially, and at the same time you end up making friends which stay your friends for life. Next point is about spending your money. I personally feel that if you are out there on a trip, you should always and always and always spend on experiences rather than spending on some very weird, I would say, fancy dinners or shopping or something which probably is going to not be of a lot of value 5 or 10 years down the line. Spend on experiences because you will remember those experiences for the rest of your life. At the same time, when you're spending on experiences, you make memories that you can share with others. You can give others some recommendations. So spending on experiences is always a preferable thing to do. The next point is about a particular mistake that I used to make initially when I started my solo travel, and that is over planning. See, in absolutely no way you are going to be covering each and every attraction, each and every tourist spot in just one single visit. So there is no plan, there is no point in over planning stuff. You are just going to get overwhelmed, you are just going to get tired, and you will always be under constant pressure that, okay, I need to rush from this place to this place, and it's not a good feeling. Plan less. Sometimes it's good to take things as they come, and you end up enjoying those experiences, those unexpected experiences even more. So plan accordingly, keep your day a little bit flexible, and plan a few items. Don't need to go into details. Next is a very important tip, and especially this is very important if you are going on an adventurous solo travel, which is follow the rules. Guys, I cannot stress on this enough that so many accidents happen every single year because people just refuse to follow the rules. Irresponsible tourists end up getting lost in the jungle, they drown in the sea or the river, or sometimes they even get trapped under the ice in the case of an avalanche. It's a horrible situation to be in. Be a responsible tourist and follow the rules. Whatever is mentioned on the signboards and whatever the tour guides or locals are telling you, it's always a good idea to listen to them very carefully and always have a plan about what to do if in case you get stuck. Next point is about not being very casual. When I say that you don't have to be very casual, that essentially means that don't feel way too relaxed, that you are trusting everyone, you are being overly friendly with everyone, because not everyone that you meet is going to be a good person. There are scammers everywhere. It's always basically learn to say no. It's always a good idea to trust your gut in case you're not feeling that something is right. But please do learn to say no. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. My last tip for you is to be always and always connected. Guys, you are there on your own in a big world. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's always a good idea to have a very close friend or a very close family member know about your location all the times. Your coordinates should be with that particular individual so that they can reach you whenever they want. At the same time, you can reach them whenever you want. And these guys should be capable enough to arrange for your rescue in case things go wrong. Actually, that's about it. I really hope that after watching this video, you feel a little bit more motivated to take your first solo trip. Believe me, it does not have to be an international trip. You can travel locally, you can travel domestically, maybe go to a different city, go to a different state, go to a different town, whatever you want to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be internationally. If you can spend for an international trip, go for it. If you cannot spend internationally, then there are so many areas, there are so many parts of the world which are right near, which are right next to you that you still haven't explored. And please do not spend a lot of money on your solo trip. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned from solo travel is how to live frugally. You only spend on things which are just absolutely necessary, and otherwise you just spend only on experiences. There is no point in spending so much of money for shopping or having fancy dinners or some very expensive parties. I mean, this is something that you can do even in your own city. So what's the point? So now guys, I actually need a suggestion from you. Would you be interested in actually seeing a video where I tell you how to plan your first ever solo trip? If yes, please do let me know in the comments, because that's really going to help me create some content around the same, so that you can watch that video and learn how to plan your first ever solo trip. What are the things that you can carry, what are the things which are absolutely necessary, what are the do's, what are the don'ts. I'll be very happy to help you guys out. Also, as I mentioned earlier, please do consider subscribing to this channel. I'll be traveling very soon on a solo trip, and I really want you guys to experience what I experienced during that particular time. I am an adventurous solo travel, so I'll take you all the way from how I pack my bag to all the adventures that I do. It's going to be a lot of fun, trust me. Please like this video and share this with your friends who are too afraid or too shy to take their first ever solo trip. And that's it from my side, guys. Thank you so much, and you are awesome.